Hello. Good morning. This meeting has been duly called. Can you hear me? Good morning. This meeting has been duly called and noticed. It is 9:10 a.m. Our first order of business is to choose a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Are there any nominations?
We have written nominations that are passed out. Raise your hand if you get a card. Thank you. I'm missing a couple. People want that. No, white card, hand it out. Peter Rice.
By unanimous vote, Peter Rice has been nominated as our moderator today. I'm going to have him read his oath.
I, Peter Rice, do swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Maine, and that I will, excuse me, and that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duty incumbent upon me as moderator of Shebig Island. Yes. As my first order of business, Abby. I'm going to have you do the same thing she did to me. You're going to have to read it.
I, Abigail Julian, do swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Maine, and that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as deputy moderator of Shebig Island.
What I just did was swear in Abby Julian as the deputy moderator. She will be there on Tuesday, election day, all day. Because that's what she signed up to do, as deputy moderator. So, thank you, Abby. Good morning. Thank you again for entrusting me to be your moderator. I have to say, this is, I think, the best job in town government. I love doing it. So thank you. I'll do my best, but need the cooperation and help with all of you in carrying this out. Ask you to turn off cell phones, other electronic communication devices, except the emergency ones. In conducting today's meeting, I'm going to be guided by the main moderator's manual, but I also just want to review some guidelines, procedures, and methods of voting. Please speak only when I recognize you, and you're going to have to come up here to speak. So actually just get in line. You don't need me to recognize you. There's an article in here, Article 4, that would allow non-voters to speak. That has to pass by 2/3, or I could ask for unanimous consent that non-voters be allowed to speak. That means if anyone objects, even one person, we would have to go to a vote. Can I have unanimous consent that non-residents be allowed to speak? Any objections? All right, let's skip Article 4. All right, what's going to happen is I'm going to read the motion, ask for a motion to approve, second, and then we're going to discuss. I'm going to vote using the cards. And this, ordinarily I'd say call on people, but as I say, people are going to line up here, so just line up and speak. Now, Articles 6 through 15 are capped. That means that that means the amount of the motion, the amount that is contained in the motion can't be raised. This is to provide notice to people that the meeting will not spend any more money on that particular warrant article than is noticed in the warrant. Articles 20 through 45 are open. That means they can be either increased or decreased. The select board has included a recommendation. I will read that and then we will discuss it. And if somebody wants to make a motion to amend, which I can think Bo is going to do on one of them, then we'll go from there. Okay. Now, Article 3. Article 3 is the referendum question. That is not going to be discussed today. Anybody raises that, I will rule that out of order. When I rule that out of order, assuming that happens, that can be appealed. All somebody has to do is stand up and say, I move to appeal the moderator's ruling, and then explain what they want to happen. In this case, it would be for the town meeting to discuss Article 3. We will then, and that's a debatable motion, we will debate that and we will vote. A yes vote means my decision would be overturned. A no vote would mean we would not discuss it and we would move on. Okay? All right. Okay, I'm going to start with announcements. Jennifer and Mark. Oh, one thing I should say, we have a special guest, Steve Moriarty, who stay, you can hear him at the end, give a little presentation, so it's well worth it. Now, Jennifer and Mark, you're up. Oh, too, you didn't tell me you were. You have to do the mic. Get close.
So welcome and thank you all for being here on this beautiful June day. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a few quick words to thank Donna Damon and Jay Corson for their service and commitment to our town as members of the select board. As I have As I have now witnessed firsthand and from experience on the school committee, it is a time-consuming, it's very time-consuming role. But I am sure Mark and Bo will agree with me. It hasn't all been reams of paperwork to read through, long, lengthy meetings, and endless numbers to calculate and recalculate for a presentable budget. Wait a minute, that's exactly what it's been. But it's also been a very gratifying experience. Why, might you ask? Because each one of us is doing this because we love our community, our home. Donna and Jay show us this at each and every meeting, email, phone call, wave on the street. You won't find more dedicated people, maybe sometimes with opposite visions, but both with one goal in mind, the betterment of Shebig. And so thank you, Donna, for your history lessons. And thank you, Jay, for always questioning their relevance. It's important to have different opinions, but don't forget, we all have one thing in common, our love for Shebig. So thank you for your service.
I'll be very quick, as I usually am. I would also like to thank Donna Damon and Jay Corson and all the past and future select people that will be, have served and will be serving the island. It's a lot of work. People bring a multifaceted bunch of talents to the board. Donna Damon has taught me a lot with her experience carried over here from the town of Cumberland about the importance of process and making sure people are heard adequately. Jay Corson brought a lot of experience with finance, and I've appreciated that throughout the budget session, and I look forward to serving with the future select people for at least 2 more years. Thank you.
So following those two, there's not much I can say extra, but thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work with both of you. The knowledge I've gotten over the years. Yeah, thank you.
That's actually for Karen. But Barbara
putting up with
Ballard
Jay.
did these beautiful arrangements.
I'd just like to thank the members of the board for recognizing Jay and me. And, you know, as Jen said, we don't always agree. Usually we don't all agree. But it's really important that we have a public process here, that people are kind to each other. I really gave this up in 2015, but I came back because I really felt it was important for people to understand that no matter what someone's opinion might be, that you have to treat them with respect. It's very frustrating, and I can tell you there's a lot of times in the back of my head, I have retorts that I want to make, but I don't do it. And that's the one thing when you are a public official, that you have to do that. I learned from Steve Moriarty, who's here today, who is one of the best chairs that I've ever worked with. And I just want to say in 1972, I was elected to the Cumberland Budget Committee. So this is 50 years for me. I hope I don't have to come back again.
I will keep this very short, no history. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have served this community. done, I hope, as well as I can for the community. And I look forward to the new board and going forward from there. And thank you again.
Okay, so let's get underway. As I said, we're not going to discuss Article 2 or Article 3. Paul, can you come up here?
I believe that public discussion of any warrant item is an important part of this annual town meeting. I wish to appeal the decision of the moderator, request a second on that motion, and if a majority of the people here wish to discuss Article 3, we could then offer comments.
Is there a second? Who is that? David. David Lloyd Reeves. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. As I said, it's a debatable motion. So anybody who wants to speak on it has to come up here. Okay, no one wants to speak. All those in favor of overriding my ruling, thank you. A yes vote means we do discuss, a no vote means we do not discuss. All those in favor of appealing my decision and discussing this, raise your pink card. What does it become? 52. All those opposed, raise your pink card. Looks like the yeses have it. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the warrant articles, and then we will do the Article 3 at the end. That way we're sure to get through all of the budgetary items. So Article 5. Shall an ordinance entitled 2002 Amendment to the Solid Waste Facility Ordinance. Oh, we need to record the no's. So can you put the no's up? Can you put your card up again, please? Just so we have a number. Okay. Article 5, shall an ordinance entitled 2022 Amendments to the Solid Waste Facility Ordinance to repeal and replace the existing ordinance be enacted. Copies of the new proposed ordinance are available for review and inspection at the town office, and there are copies also here at the in the back of the room. I have a motion. Can you stand, please, Bob?
Move to approve Article 5.
Okay, from a second. Who was it, Bo? Okay, Bo seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? It passes. Article 6. Shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $495,900 for regular instruction? Remember, this is a capped article and the motion needs to include the amount of the expenditure. I have a motion. Nancy?
I move that we spend. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Oh, $495,990 for school committee to expend on regular instruction.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Oh, discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, one. Article 7, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $176,651 for special education? Nancy?
I propose that we extend $176,600.
Can everyone hear her?
Okay.
Nancy, get up here.
The town shall authorize authorize the school committee to expend $176,651 for special education.
And a second. Oh, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? No one opposed? Article 8, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend no dollars for other instructions? Nancy?
Okay, I move that we authorize the school committee to expend $0 for other instruction.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Article 9, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $22,570 for student and staff support? Nancy?
Yes, I move that we authorize the school committee to expend $22,570 for student and staff support.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? Seeing none. Article 10, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $115,310 for system administration? Nancy?
Yes, I move that we authorize the school committee to expend $115,310 for systems administration.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? Seeing none. Article 11, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $60,610 for school administration? Nancy?
I propose that the town authorize the school committee to expend $60,610 for school administration.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 12, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $114,643 for transportation and buses? Nancy?
I propose that we authorize the school committee to expend $114,643 for transportation and buses.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Can you come up here, please? Sorry, but. Thank you, Cheryl.
Since I don't have any children, obviously in school anymore, but my question is, why do they need that much? Are we getting a new bus? A salary shouldn't cost that much for a bus driver. Yes, we have repairs to the bus, but not that much. I just think it's too much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Jeff?
Just in response to the question, half of that is the transportation contract we have with Shebig Transportation Company. Covers all the staff's parking at Cousins. It covers the transportation for the staff. It covers the transportation for the students. And then the other half is the bus driver salary, the maintenance on the bus, barging to have the bus go off occasionally for inspection. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Jeff. Any other discussion? All right. I'll wait till Jeff gets back to his seat. All those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? Seeing none. Article 13, Nancy, up here, please. Sorry. Don't mumble.
Shall the town authorize the school committee to extend $59,611 for facilities maintenance?
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? Seeing none. Article 14, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $127,641 for debt service and other commitments? Nancy?
I move that they authorize the school committee to extend $127,641 for debt service and other commitments.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none, raise your card for in favor. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 15, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $44,706 for all other expenditures?
I move that we authorize the school committee to expend $44,706 for all other expenditures.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your card. Opposed? Seeing none. Article 16, shall the town appropriate $652,936.66 for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act? And shall the town raise $507,752.32 as the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act in accordance with the Maine Revised Statute, Title 20A, Section 1568. The explanation: the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Program and Services Funding Act is the amount of money determined by state law to be the minimum amount that the town must raise and assess in order to review the full amount of state dollars.
I move that the town appropriates $652,936.66 for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Service Funding Act. And the town shall raise $507,752.36 as the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Service Funding Act in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15688.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none. Wait a minute, there is? Oh, I'm sorry. Susan? Okay, you got to come up here. Susan, I missed you, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Article 6.
And you have to get close to the mic.
Article 6, is that better? Has 495,000 and change for regular instruction, and then you've got this thing. Are they two separate things? Like, are we adding, I just don't know how this all works.
Ann? Ann, you have to come over here. No.
So,
It's close to the mic.
hi, I'm Ann Kirkpatrick. I'm the superintendent and principal of the schools. So we've gone through all the different articles which take care of the total running of the school. This article reverts back to what the state not recommends, what the state says that we have to raise on Shabik in order to get the money that they would give us. They give us, I think next year is about $50,000, but in order to get that 50,000, this is the money that we have to raise.
And it's in addition to?
No, it encompasses all of the former articles.
Perfect, thank you.
Did everyone hear that? Okay. Any other discussion? Bernhardt?
Harold Grotov. So kind of with Susan, I don't really understand this. So we have to get $50,000 from the state. We have to raise 507,000 plus and change. That doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain that a little better?
Yes, I hope I can, and not make it more confusing. So the state has a formula, that they use on every, community that has a school. And that's where they say, you know, the state says that they're gonna fund 55% of public education. And they haven't in most situations, and they don't in, Shabik because of the tax base that Shabik has. They do have provisions throughout their formula that they give. One of them is because of special ed and debt service, and the combined of our special ed costs and our debt service, the formula says that the state will give us about $50,000 for those to help cover those two costs. These two amounts in Article 16 basically will take care of all of the, hopefully will take care of all of the previous articles. So you have to raise, the state says that you have to raise so much in order to get what they're willing to give you through their formula. Does that, does that help explain it, or just make it more confusing? And I will tell you that the formula is very confusing. It's about 6 pages, and then there's about 25 pages on explanation on how to read it. Right. And that's the minimum, that is the minimum amount that we need to raise in order to continue on with the state funding.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks. Okay, ready to vote? All those in favor of Article 16, raise your pink card. Opposed? Seeing none, Article 16 passes. Article 17, now Article 17 is by written ballot. I think Vika and has passed out these little yellow ballots. So Article 17, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $531,854.34 in additional local funds which exceed the state's essential programs and services allocation model by $497,148.34 as required to fund the budget recommended by the school committee. The school committee gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's essential programs and services funding model. EPS, essential program and services, does not fully support all the necessary costs of the pre-kindergarten to grade 12 education programs, such as 1, special education costs, 2, ferry transportation and bus costs, 3, staff benefits, including health insurance, FICA, Medicare, unemployment benefits, and workers' comp. Explanation: the additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the town's local contribution
to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Program and Services Funding Act, and for local amounts raised for the annual payment of non-state funded debt service that will help achieve the town budget for educational programs. Nancy? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is going to make a motion.
Okay, I move that Article 17 by secret ballot. Please.
And just re-upping the amount.
Oh, the amount of $531,854.34, which exceeds the state's model of $497,148.34 as required.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, discussion? Okay, has everyone worked on their ballot? Vote early, vote often? No, just good. And I should say there's another question later on that requires a written ballot. I think it's question. Question 49 will require a written ballot. Okay, we're going to take a short break while they do the count of the ballots. So, anybody wants to go to the bathroom, anything like that? Drink of water.
Permission to ask you a question? Yes. I cannot.
John.
Which articles have been funded? You know, the school budget.
How many now? Can I have everyone's attention, please? Article 17 passes, 95 yeses, 6 noes. So we're going to move on to Article 18. Shall the town authorize the school committee to expend $1,219,791 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023 from the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under Maine Revised Statute Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for support of the schools. The explanation is the school committee has budgeted non-tax revenues to fund the fiscal year 22-23 school budget, including $125,000 of school undesignated fund balance and $55,184.30 of general purpose aid. Mark?
Peter, I make a motion to pass Article 18 in the amount of $1,219,791.
Second. Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise the pink card. Opposed? One. Article 19. In addition to amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the town authorize the school committee to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other services during the fiscal year for school and other program purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. Mark?
A motion to approve Article 19 as written.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Okay, now we're moving on to the municipal budget. The article as written and as I read will not have the amount of the suggested appropriation, so the motion will have to have that amount in it. Article 20, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for administration and Board of Selectmen accounts. The board recommends $258,416. The explanation, 1.36%, that means $3,478 increase from the fiscal year 22 budget. The increase is primarily due to adding more money to pay for an audit. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 20 in the amount of $258,416.
Second. Thank you both. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your pink card. Opposed? No one opposed. 21, Article 21, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the assessor. The board recommends $14,050. The explanation, a 6.04% or $800 increase from fiscal year 22 budget. The increase is due to cover the cost of mapping updates. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 21 in the amount of $14,050.
Second. Thank you, Bob. Discussion? Steve, don't move your hand. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 22, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for elections. The board recommends $1,000. The explanation, this is a 0% change from fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 22 for $1,000.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, Article 22 passes. Article 23, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for planning. The board recommends $6,500 or $6,500. The explanation, this is a 0% change from fiscal 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 23, $6,500.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Anybody opposed? Just make sure I get it. Okay, none. Article 23 passes. Article 24, to see what sum the town will vote and raise to appropriate for legal services. The board recommends $10,000. The explanation is a 0% change from fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 24 for $10,000.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, Article, where are we? 24, 25. Article 25, to see what sum the town will vote and appraise for law enforcement. We have our police officer in the back. The board recommends $53,000. The explanation, a 5.48% or $2,752 increase from fiscal year 22 budget. This increase is due to the increased costs associated with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department contract. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 25 in the amount of $53,000.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? One, okay, one opposed. Article 26, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for fire and rescue department. The board recommends $143,943. The explanation is this is a 22.89% or $26,808 increase from fiscal year 22 budget. The increase is primarily due to the raising the increase is primarily due to raising the on-call pay for volunteers to $25 per hour, as well as an increase to the fire department and EMPT chief stipend. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 26 in the amount of $143,943.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, passes. Article 27, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for code enforcement. The board recommends $28,080. The explanation, this is a 6.2% increase or $1,620 increase from fiscal 22 budget. The increase is from a salary increase. This is the first time increase since the current CEO was hired in 2018. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 27 in the amount of $28,080.
Second.
Thank you, Bo. Discussion? Oh, Jennifer, don't move unless you mean it. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, article passes. Article 28, to see what sum the town will vote and raise to and appropriate for the harbor master and shellfish warden account. The board recommends $29,097. The explanation, a 61% decrease or $178 decrease from fiscal year 22. 0.61, sorry. That's why I wear glasses. The explanation, 0.61% or $178 decrease
from the fiscal year 22 budget. The decrease is a result of not funding equipment maintenance due to the fact that there is currently no harbor master boat. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 28 in the amount of $29,097.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? 3. To see what sum the town will vote and raise and appropriate for animal control. The board recommends $5,250. The explanation, this is a 0.0% change from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 29 for $5,250.
Bo, where are you?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, Article 29 passes. Article 30, to see what sum the town will vote and raise, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for public services. The board recommends $277,485. The explanation is this is a 1.92% decrease, or a decrease of $4,265 from the fiscal year 22 budget. The decrease is due to small adjustments in items such as wages, road materials, culvert drainage, and street signs. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 30 in the amount of $217,485.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Okay. Article 31, to see what sum the town will vote and raise, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for solid waste. The board recommends $211,887. The explanation is this is an 8.12% increase, or $15,907 increase from the fiscal year 22 budget. This is primarily due to biannual landfill monitoring testing, as well as increase in barging costs. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 31 in the amount of $211,887.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? 1. Article 32, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Cousin Island Dock Reserve Fund. The board recommends $22,978. The explanation is this is a 4%, or $884 increase from the fiscal year 22 budget per agreement with the town of Yarmouth. This reserve fund is for the sole purpose of providing for the maintenance, capital repairs, and eventual replacement of the Cousins Island dock, and or for the improvements to Wharf Road as described in the agreement with Yarmouth. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 32 in the amount of $22,978.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it passes. Article 33, to see what sum the town will raise and appropriate for contributions and authorize the Board of Selectmen to disperse the full amount. The Board of Selectmen recommends raising $150,341 and authorizing the Board of Selectmen to disperse the full amount according to the table. Okay, I'm not going to read the table. Mark?
Thank you, Peter. I make a motion to approve Article 33 in the amount of $50,341.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 2. Okay, I'll put, I saw 2, but is there 3? All those opposed, can you raise your card again, please? Oh, I missed you, sorry. 3. Article 34, to see whether the town will authorize the additional donation of municipal employee time and materials for the occasional snow plowing and sanding of the parking lots of the Shabig Recreation Center and Chandler's Cove Wharf during significant winter weather events. The explanation: these properties are not owned by the town, so it is unlawful for any public monies to support their operations without the express consent of the town. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 34 as written.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 1. Okay. Article 34, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for general assistance. The board recommends $500. The explanation: this is no change from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Mr. Moderator, I think you called it Article 34, Section
Oh,
35.
all right, let me start over. Article 35, thank you. To see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for general assistance. The board recommends $500. This is no change from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 35 in the amount of $500.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Article 36, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for health services. The board recommends $2,000. The explanation: this is no change from the fiscal year 22 budget. This is to pay the duly appointed health officer. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 36 in the amount of $2,000.
Second.
Okay, thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, none. We'll move on. Article 37, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the cemetery. The board recommends $14,050. The explanation: this is a 0% or $0 difference from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 37 in the amount of $14,050.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 38, to see what sum the town will vote and raise and appropriate for debt service. The board recommends $353.33. The board recommends $353,322. The explanation: 3.62% or $12,342 increase from the fiscal year 22 budget. $215,036. $215,036 for the Maine Municipal Bond Bank debt service, debt from the secession payment out to the town of Cumberland. $116,818 for the Maine Municipal Bond Bank debt from the school construction progress project, and $20,667 for the Maine Municipal Bond Bank debt from the plow truck that was purchased in 2021. Sorry about that. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 38 in the amount of $353,322.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? One. Article 39, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for benefits and insurance. The board recommends $208,735. The explanation, a 6.05% increase or $11,823 increase from fiscal year 22 budget due primarily to an increase in health insurance and retirement contribution. Mark?
Motion to pass Article 39 in the amount of $208,735.
Second. Thank you both. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. To see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for streetlights. The board recommends $8,400. The explanation, this is a 0% difference from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 40 in the amount of $8,400.
Second. Thank you both. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? 2, 3. 3. This time I got it. Article 41, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for and authorize the Board of Selectmen to spend for unexpected expenses as they deem necessary from the contingency. The board recommends $14,000. The explanation, this is a 12.5% or $2,000 decrease from the fiscal year 22 budget. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 41 in the amount of $14,000.
Second. Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. No one? Article 42, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the payment to the town of Cumberland for 50% of Outer Islands tax. The board recommends $48,045 as an estimate, or the board estimates it to be $48,045. The explanation, as required in the law allowing Shebig to secede from the town of Cumberland, this article appropriates 50% of the property taxes committed to the town of Shebig from the Outer Islands. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 42 in the amount of $48,045. Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 1. Article 43, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for county tax. The board recommends $117,517. The explanation, 5.69% or $9,234 increase from the fiscal year 22 budget, assured to the municipality by Cumberland County, assessed to the municipality by Cumberland County. Sorry about that. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 43 in the amount of $171,517. Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 44, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen upon a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen to exceed by no more than 10% annually the amount authorized for each account approved by Article 20 through 43 above, so long as the overall amount spent for the sum total of those articles does not exceed the total appropriation approved for those articles. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 44 as written.
Second. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 45, to see what sum the town will raise and appropriate for capital improvements. The Board of Selectmen recommends raising $480,600. The explanation is the table, which is on the next page, shows the sum recommended by the Board of Selectmen for each capital account. The purpose of the capital account appropriations is to set aside funds for future infrastructure investments, as well as vehicle and equipment expenditures. This reduces and avoids a large one-time appropriation for major expenses in the future. Mark, Bo?
I'd like to amend Article 45 and change the total to.
We haven't approved, we haven't gotten the article.
You have to move first.
Okay. So move the article.
I move the article.
Move Article 45 in the amount of $480,600. Just say that.
I move to. I move the Article 45 for $480,600.
Okay, Mark seconds it. Okay, discussion. Now you.
Okay. I'd like to amend Article 45 for $530,600. And that's to add $50,000 to the reserve account, 9050 for paving. We just got a total change from our Allstate, because of the rising cost of fuel. We all know that. We're all paying at the pump. So that's why the change.
Okay, can you just repeat that with the capital? No, where it's coming from, what you want specifically?
I want $50,000 added to the reserve account 9050, which is paving.
9050 paving. Okay, 50,000?
Correct.
Okay. Which would bring the
total to $530,600.
Okay. Mark? What, he moved it, you got to second it.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Now you can talk.
Bo and Vika, I thought that we didn't have to add that amount of money. Am I incorrect with that? I thought we had to add like 36,000.
You are correct, but you never know if it's going to change.
Okay. So basically what happened is we had a contract that we were not able to fulfill last year with Allstate Asphalt to do a big chip sealing project on the island because of a huge storm that hit down on the Atlantic seaboard near Rhode Island, and the company was unable to come up and finish the chip seal project. So that cost, unfortunately, this year went up probably $14,000 roughly. And then we are trying to finish the road program on Shebig, which includes trying to pave Chandler's Cove Road, Old Cart Road, the tops of Caps Road and Fenderson Road. And that contract has now increased by $26,000 roughly. So that's what happened. We're not thrilled about it, but I think it's probably prudent to consider moving forward instead of waiting to finish this infrastructure work, because we don't know what the future of pricing and products will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? This is on the motion to amend. John?
Just a couple of questions for education.
John, the mic, please.
There's 110,000 for dredging, and then we just finished the dredging. I'd just like to understand why we need that money.
Okay, John, is this related to the motion to amend? That's what we're discussing right now. The motion to amend.
It's a question on what the
Can we just?
dollars in the table.
Yeah, I'd like to do the paving one and then we can do the other one. Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. Okay, the motion to amend the Article 45 by $50,000. Tad? Tad?
Is this under all account 9050?
Yes. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, this is a motion where Bob?
Just a question probably for the people working on the roads overall. Did we consider cutting back the scope of the project as opposed to increasing the tax allocation?
I can't answer. Bo, you want?
We can cut it back, but essentially he has all his equipment out here. And it just.
Can everyone hear him?
It just makes sense.
Bo?
So the reason for us to go for it right now is basically because of the rising cost of everything. Later on, it might cost more to have these little bits done. He's got to mobilize all his machines to be out on the island. It just makes sense to have him complete jobs.
Thank you. Donna?
Since we became a town, one of our goals was to get all the roads done. I have to commend Herb Main, Beth Howe, Mark Dyer, and many others who have worked on this road plan over the years. We're almost at the end. And these are ones that we've pushed down the road literally for a long time. One is the Chandler's Cove Road going down to the wharf. Anybody who goes down there to pick things up, I see Polly nodding her head, that we know that some of these need to be done. And as Bo said, we could, I don't care if they do the top of my road. I mean, it's like 300 or 400 feet. It's no big deal. But it doesn't make sense to go and to bring all that equipment down here. It's cost effective to do it at the same time. And unless somebody can put the brakes on the oil companies, it's only going to go up.
Thank you. Any other discussion? This is on the motion to amend. Okay, we're going to vote on the motion to amend. All those in favor of increasing account 9050 by $50,000, raise your card. Opposed? No one's opposed. John?
Yep. So I just had a question for education. There's 110,000 being added for dredging. We just completed the dredging project. And then there's no money for a harbor master vessel. And we previously learned that the maintenance requirement for the harbor master vessel was reduced because we don't have one. So the question is, what's the plan for the harbor master vessel?
Donna, can you address?
I will address the dredging. Somebody else can address the harbor master. When we entered into the agreement to dredge, and I remember we started this in 2009. And that's one thing that I'm proud of, that we finally got it dredged after all these years. But anyway, we are part of now a government maintenance program. And part of the deal was we had to pay 20% of the cost of dredging this year in this dredging, and we never have to pay another cost again. But the issue was we paid 10%, which you allocated last year, the first 10%. So now we're looking at the second 10% that we have to pay. And we hadn't decided how to do it. Some of it could be bonded. We were given the authorization last year, but we decided to put some of it into the capital. I hope that helps, John.
Go ahead, Mike.
John, to answer your question directly about the harbor master vessel, I think it's safe to say that the town and the select board do not have a good plan at this point in time. We looked at least one possibility of a used engine for that boat. We decided after some advice from at least one or two outboard mechanics not to pursue that used engine. I think it's also safe to say that we may be visiting that department at some point and going over job description and duties and needs of the community in that area. So I hope that answers your question for now.
Thank you. Herb?
Main North Road. I just want to point out, and I'm totally in support of this motion. I just wanted to point out that before the $50,000 increase, we were already up $93,000 from last year, 27% increase. Now we're up $140,000. I just want to say, I think that's great. I think that I'm not a big money spender, many of you probably know, but I think we really do need to invest in our capital infrastructure. And so I fully support the work that the Board of Selectmen has done on this. The paving project will be great to get our last mile of paved road paved and get that 10-year plan that's now in its 15th year or 14th year. Get that 10-year plan done so we can get into a regular maintenance schedule. So I support this and I support future investments. I hope that the capital investment structure grows with a good, solid plan looking towards the future, because that is the future that we're going to hand to the next generation, is what we leave them in our infrastructure. So thank you, sir.
Jay?
I think John raised the question of dredging. I think, as Paul Harvey said, the rest of the story is, because I think that there's more that needs to be enunciated. Sorry. The $110,000 is there. There is also a bond issue potential for the selectmen to raise another $250,000 to cover the total cost of dredging. What happened was the dredging that was done did not quite complete the job. The Army Corps of Engineers is in conversation with the dredging company. And we don't know what the exact total number and how it's all going to be handled. But the bottom line is we need to get the job finished so that the whole job is in the replacement program by the Army Corps. In other words, they'll come back and fix anything. If we stop right now, there are certain parts that they wouldn't come back and fix for free, and we'd end up being responsible for it. So it's the completion of the job. That's the 110 plus the bond issue for $250,000. And then we'll be done. And it's up to the Army Corps to finish negotiations because they have the contract with the dredging company. So that's where that stands. That's why the money's there, just so we know what the whole cost is going to be. I think that accurately reflects it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. John?
I'd just like to question why Article 9032 land acquisition and development is so low when the prices of everything land-wise and building-wise has gone up. And we're adding nothing to that. I'm sure the town doesn't have anything right in mind right now to buy anything, but it would seem to me that we should have a little bit more than $2,000 in there in case we do.
Anybody want to respond to that? Looks like you're it, Jay.
So, since I was involved in the acquisition of land and property management recently, we don't see any need to be buying anything in the near future. Town owns an awful lot of property as it currently stands. And I think the reason that we didn't add anything there was we didn't see any need for additional funds in that particular account, given the amount of land that we have available for whatever projects we might want to undertake. Does that answer, John? Okay.
seems to me that the town is always looking for, the community is always looking for green spaces. And we might not have anything in mind right now, but we ought to be thinking about some more green spaces to preserve the island that we have.
I totally agree with John. I mean, I do think that we need to have a fund. We need to strategize and come up with a plan. We probably need a conservation committee or something where people can, really think about having a pot of money. So if a piece of land goes on the market, we can earmark that is a potential, that would be beneficial. Because what happens here is we react instead of plan. And, say there was this beautiful space and all of a sudden it's on the market and we have no money. And so then everybody opens their pocketbooks and we try to go door to door and gather the money. And so if we could go through and say, oh yeah, this is something, if this comes on the market, we want to be able to buy it or whatever. It comes into planning and it's something that we really probably need to do. And thank you, John, for bringing that up.
Erica?
Erica Newman, Central Landing. I was wondering, I think in the past, I don't know if I'm mistaken, is there a total fiscal 23 budget? So we know the total number, it would be the totals of articles between 20 and 45, just as a voter, so you could see what percentage the school budget is and what each of these is. I think in the past also, I appreciate the percentage change each year in the articles. I think in the past, the chart showed the increase or the decrease. So, and in that same light, if there was a chart that showed the total, what is the 2023 total budget being proposed?
Vika?
So this warrant was written by using last year's and input in the numbers and the years previously. And so I involved Marjorie in the process and our town attorney. So this warrant is written exactly as all the other ones were written. So those numbers were not previously in it. As we stand right now, and obviously with the additional change, that's going to be an impact with still the anticipated warrant articles for undesignated funds. The 2022 budget with the school was at $3,373,231. With the anticipated school and town undesignated funds, this would put us at $3,328,911. The $50,000 obviously is not included in that. Right now, as we stand, our budget is up about 8.3% from where it was last year. And you have to keep in mind that our the increase across the board is up, for everybody at 8%. And this number includes that $500,000 in addition to all of the raises for barging, for salaries, for everything. Board of Selectmen have also put $500,000 into reserve accounts. So I think considering how much is being set aside and how much everything has increased, the selectmen have done a great job at keeping the budget as low as they could have. So does that help answer your question?
Thank you.
John?
Not sure how you do this, but I'd like to amend Article 45 in the amount of $480,000 and $480,600 plus the $50,000 that was just authorized to add $10,000 to go towards land acquisition.
Okay, is there a second? Donna? Okay. All right, there's a motion now to add $10,000 in addition to the $50,000 for account 9032. Any discussion? Bob?
I just wanted to speak in support of John's motion and also in support of what Donna said, that we need a plan relative to how land acquisition, being ready for land acquisition, could support what the comprehensive plan states as one of, if not the major goal as voted several years ago, which is open space on the island. So I'm in support of what John said and what Donna said.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else want to speak? Okay, I'm sorry.
I would just like to express my concern about, there's nothing here for a harbor master or for a boat, and I think.
Okay, right now we're doing the motion to amend for $10,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just wait a
Okay.
minute, we can get to that, okay? Thank you. Any discussion on the motion to amend to add $10,000 to account 9032? Okay, all those in favor? Let's do, all those opposed? Okay, it passes. Go ahead, Bebs.
About number 9060, the harbor master vessel. And the harbor master, I think that with the storms that we've been having and all the boating that goes on Chebig, I am very concerned that we don't have a harbor master vessel, or that it's been put on the, the back burner, and I don't see any plans or heard any that are going to be in the works.
Thank you. Oh.
Just a brief comment on the harbor master vessel. The reason we didn't put any money or look for anything is basically he hasn't been using it. He didn't have one last year, and we didn't end up needing it. So right now our plan is to step back and look at the harbor master as a whole, as far as if we need a vessel. Jen has done some homework on other communities that don't really have vessels or anything like that. The harbor master just looks around and does their stuff. And then other communities, like the Portland harbor master, the Yarmouth one. So if there is an emergency, and they would come and help us. So we're trying to get a plan together. That's why we're not putting any money there.
Any other discussion, Nancy? Okay. So if my math is correct, it's 540,600. Okay. The motion is for Article 45 to see if the town will raise and spend $540,600 for capital improvements. Okay, now discussion about that. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? One. Oh, two. Sorry. Okay, two. Okay. Article 46, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to appropriate all funds raised for the overlay to fund any tax abatements and interest for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. The explanation, this article allows the funds from the overlay calculated by the assessor when the mill rate is set to be used for any abatements, including any interest. Mark.
Motion to approve Article 46 as written.
Second. Thank you, Bo. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 47, to see what sum the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to appropriate from the undesignated fund balance surplus to reduce the tax burden for fiscal year 2022-23. The Board of Selectmen recommends $175,000. The explanation, a transfer from unassigned fund balance is made to manage the fund balance and help lower the tax rate. The estimated unassigned fund balance as of June 30, 2021 is $564,681. This is approximately 21% of the current fiscal 21 operating budget and is higher than the allowable limits, which is 8% to 15% based on the Board of Selectmen unassigned fund balance policy. In accordance with the policy, we're using $175,000 toward the fiscal 23 budget in an effort to reduce taxation. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 47, the amount of $175,000. Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Bo. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, seeing none. Article 48, to see what sum the town will vote to take from receipts, sources, and designations to apply against fiscal year 2022 to 2023 appropriations, and to accept and appropriate any such funds from the state of Maine and the U.S. government as provided by the state legislature or federal government for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. The Board of Selectmen recommends $231,566. The explanation, the total revenue from receipts, sources, and designation includes $231,566 from the following table. Where's the table?
That was my big mistake. I forgot to put the table in.
Mark?
With or without the table, Mr. Moderator, I make a motion to approve Article 48, the amount of $231,566. Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? One? No matter, because it passed. Article 49, which is by written ballot, which is what Vika is passing out now, to see if the town would vote to increase the property tax levy limit established for the town of Big Island. What? Oh. By state law, if the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax levy limit. Mark?
Move to approve Article 49 as written. Second.
Okay. Discussion? Okay. Vote. Oh, Karen? Can you? No, just remove the mask. What does that mean? Anybody want to explain that?
I don't want to explain it, but I'm a little confused about this warrant article, and maybe we've always had it, but I guess I don't remember this. Is this something new that's just happened, that we've just started to have? Maybe somebody else remembers it.
It's a warrant article that the town attorney suggested we put in and have it be as a written article to better cover ourselves.
Okay, so it isn't, I'm not losing it. We have never done this
That's the
before.
best way I can describe it.
Okay, so, so does that mean that we can raise more money if we have to at a future time? What's the?
Correct.
Maybe, okay, so I guess from what Vika is saying, that this gives us the ability that if something isn't right here, or if we don't have enough ability to raise money, that we can raise more money? Is that?
Yeah.
Can you explain this? Because I'm not doing a good job. I don't really get it.
No, I think that really covers it. I think that what we're voting on today, if it comes down, just like we have in future town meetings, you know, if we need to vote more for a future item, then we can come back and do it. So it's one of those, if the legal warrant articles that the attorney suggested further better cover ourselves, so. But if anybody wants the exact word from the attorney, that's the one thing I did not print out today, because I wasn't anticipating this would be a raised question.
Any other questions? Deborah, then Bob. What?
We, the selectmen, or we, the town? The town.
Bob?
This is a question for Vika. To make it really simple, isn't this just a statement that we're going to raise the taxes to cover the budget items that we're voting on?
Yes, and then if we need to, you know, if we don't have enough, then we can go back and ask for more.
At a subsequent town meeting?
Yes, yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, no. Done. Why don't we take a break until the vote is in? I have the results for Article 49. 89 yes votes, 17 no votes. The article passes. 89 yes, 17 no. So the article passes. Okay, Article 50. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a construction agreement with Axiom Technologies LLC for the purpose of construction of a fiber optic system to provide high-speed internet service to the town, with said system to be owned by the town, and to appropriate the required funds from the proceeds of the bond authorized by the town meeting on December 4th, 2021. The explanation. This construction agreement needs to be approved and voted on in order to proceed with the project. On December 4th, 2021, the town authorized the issuance of up to $975,000 in general obligation bond or notes of the town for the purpose of financing the town's share of the cost of developing and building a town-owned fiber optic broadband network capable of delivering internet access to all residences and businesses in the town, designed, implemented, and operated and maintained by Axiom Technologies. In the spring of 2022, the town was approved for an $800,000 grant. A copy of the proposed construction agreement is available at the town office and is available here. Mark.
Peter, a motion to approve Article 50 as written.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Paul.
I did not standardize to offer comments in support of the article for broadband. Neither do I wish to oppose broadband on this island. I am, though, concerned about the business of broadband and what this article asks the town to engage in. If we were considering a new firehouse, a new municipal building, if we were going to put up a $2 million structure on this island, we would likely protect our financial exposure with a builder's risk policy, something that makes sure that the town gets exactly what it asks for when the project is done. We all live in an ever-changing world. We've talked today about how the cost of everything is going up. Everybody knows how difficult things are to obtain parts, etc. So should the town move forward with this project, I'd like to offer an amendment to Article 50. I note that on the capital account page, account number 9034 has approximately $50,000 in it. Whatever it would cost, I'd like to amend the article for broadband to have the town obtain a performance bond for the project, so that as it starts, and maybe if it's finished, if it's approved here, we are guaranteed that our financial exposure, that $1 million bond that we may take upon, is covered. So my amendment would be that the town investigate and obtain a performance bond for the contract associated with broadband.
Is there a second?
Second.
Pam? Discussion? Michael? Okay, we're discussing the motion to amend.
I'm Michael Porter, and I'm the chairman of the broadband committee. We considered a performance bond. The Axiom was not enthusiastic about it, and we came to the conclusion on the committee that it was money that'd be better spent somewhere else, for the reason that the building of the system is pretty straightforward, but they're not making any money on it. I suppose the people who work on it will make their living, but that's it. Axiom's interest is to get the system built so they can make money on our fees for broadband. Until it's built, until it works, they don't make money. Once it's built, they do. So really our interests are aligned here rather than opposed. And that's the reason, the main reason we didn't insist on a performance bond.
I would like to just talk about a conversation I had with the town attorney. We had numerous drafts and numerous public meetings about the broadband contract. And I can't tell you how many different red marked up contracts we had. Because we had a lot of public input, there was a lot of opportunity for people to come and talk, and a lot of these kinds of comments were also discussed at the time. And we got to a point in April where we needed to come to some kind of a conclusion. So I had a conversation with the town attorney, and I said, how many more revisions do we need? What's your gut feeling about this contract? Because I can be honest, I don't know anything about contracts. I don't know anything about the details in technology or anything else. I can turn on my computer and that's it. And so she said that she thought she had talked to one of her colleagues who had also been dealing with an Axiom client. One of their clients had dealt with Axiom, and she felt that after talking to that colleague, that they had not had any problems with any aspect of it. And I said, can we do better with this contract than we're doing now? And she said, well, you can always probably do better, but she said, this is a really good contract. And that was her feeling. And she did not say that to me. I mean, she may have said to somebody else that it should be contingent upon a performance bond or anything else. But all I can do is tell you the conversation that I had with that town attorney who looked at this multiple times and sent back multiple comments and incorporated many comments that came from the public. So my feeling is now, if we're going forward with broadband, let's just go forward with broadband. If we don't want to do broadband, let's not do broadband, but let's not have the same conversation over and over and over again. And so I guess my point of saying this is, if you don't want broadband, vote no. If you want broadband, vote yes. But let's just move on, because it's cost us all kinds of money every time it goes back to the town attorney. And so that's where I am personally.
David?
Well, I certainly agree with what Donna said.
Closer, please.
Pardon? Closer. I agree with what Donna said and what Michael said. And I just want to raise a point of order in that the motion as presented does not give a dollar amount. So I would consider it to be out of order for consideration at this meeting. Thank you.
Aaron?
Aaron Root. I just want to make it clear, we're not talking about yes for broadband or no for broadband. We're talking about protecting our financial interests. We just added $50,000 because oil costs more and the pavement's going to cost more. It's just cost overruns. You can't get stuff today. Prices have gone up. We have a contract. We may spend the full amount of that bond, and it doesn't seem unreasonable to protect ourselves like we're spending $200,000 on insurance and benefits for employees, an extra $50,000 for paving. This is about protection of the investment we're going to make. It's not a let's can broadband or let's do broadband. Let's protect what we're doing. If we do it, let's protect ourselves. That's all this is. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I would suggest, as again, I don't know anything about this, whatever a number is that it costs for a performance bond, then let's have the proponents of this motion come forward with a number, add it to the contract, and vote on it up or down if that's what people want. We need to be specific, because if we have just go and negotiate, we're not gonna get anywhere. So if we want to, if this community feels that they want to put in, I don't know how much the money cost, how much it costs, it could be 100,000, it could be $25, that's for all I know. But come up with a number and let's add it to this and have an amendment that you're voting on that actually has a number attached to it. So that at the end of this meeting, we can either go forward or not, but don't leave it blank so that we're back in negotiations again, because it's not going to go anywhere. So if everybody here is nervous that this isn't going to go forward, then let's put our money where our mouth is and put it out there. But don't send this back with some kind of a vague point. Thank you.
We have to have high-speed internet on this island for the children. The children already have the barrier of that ferry about
Nancy,
the,
this is not about the merits, it's about the motion to amend,
a motion to amend it to what?
to have a performance
Is
certificate.
that what you're okay. I think that's a stupid idea. No other town in this state has one of those with their internet plan.
Earhart, I'm also on the broadband committee, and we discussed this some length along with the city attorney. Basically, a performance bond would be money spent for something that everybody who's involved in this project, Axiom and town, are all in agreement, all on the same page, all pushing the same direction. As Michael said, it would actually not achieve anything. If there's many protections in the contract, if you read the contract, every step along the way, including inspections by our own selected technical experts, as well as by the state, about performance issues in terms of how the system is built and built in a timely manner. Those are all in the contract, and you can read that. The performance bond was, we felt, looking at it and looking at other towns who also didn't get them, and talking with the city attorney, also didn't strongly recommend it, although she brought it up as a question to discuss. Everybody on the committee who's, all about the town and doing things right, felt that it was money that would be essentially wasted, that we could be used for other things like insurance and things like that. And so I don't know, Michael, if you remember even what a figure was when we were first discussing what the performance bond would cost, but basically be money spent and accomplishing nothing. If Axiom doesn't perform, we have lots of outs along the way. They have a lot of requirements to meet. Those have all been very well specified, and they will have spent time and money and not getting paid for system that's, because they failed to perform. And so the protection really is they make nothing, and they have lots to lose by not performing according to the contract. I think we're well protected without a performance bond.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, sorry, Jake, go ahead.
Really didn't want to have to talk about this again.
Can you get closer?
I'm sorry. I really didn't want to have to talk about this again. But having listened to some of the comments, that's not the contract I read. The contract I read leaves all of the liability, all of the risk on our side of the equation. A performance bond, as Paul has suggested, would at least protect us if along the way this doesn't work out. If you look at their time schedule, we basically will have $1 million laid out before we're even close to being finished. So, this is broadband, yes, this is the wrong contract.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nancy?
Hi, Nancy, Rose Point Road. I just want one point of clarification because I'm thrilled that the grant was obtained, but I just want people to understand that the cost to the town of $975 will occur regardless, that the cost of the project is $975 plus the $800,000 grant. Is that correct? Is the $975 obligation of the town mitigated by this $800,000 grant? What is the total due for the town? That's where I would like clarification.
Michael?
Okay, the 975,000 is a outside number. We don't know yet what the bond will be because a lot depends on figures that we can't get from the make-ready costs that Consolidated and Central Maine Power are going to impose on us. They shouldn't impose any because we're a municipality, but that might not work that way. But what we're contemplating at the moment is a bond of approximately 700,000 to 800,000. So that, but I don't want to commit to that number because we can't know yet. I hope that, but yes, the 800,000 doesn't kind of take away the bond. It pays for about half the system. That's the bottom line for that.
I'm gonna call the question.
Just let her hack up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So basically, when we put the 900 plus bond, we gave ourselves some extra ceiling to work with for some fees and expenses that we don't know, we weren't able to determine. But currently, projected expenditure on the bond side would be 700,000 to 800,000. That bond or that indebtedness will be paid for by, it's just a reminder, the subscriber fees by Axiom. So in other words, that debt service is paid for by Axiom, not by the town. Okay.
Nancy?
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, Nancy's called the question. Second?
Second.
Thank you both, not debatable. Okay, this is on the motion to amend. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you, Don. Okay, the question's been called. All those who want to call the question, which means vote on it right away, raise your card. Opposed? No one's opposed. Okay. Oh, one, two. Three? Okay, three. Sorry. All right, so now the question has been called. We're voting on the motion to amend, not the underlying article, but the motion to amend the article to add the requirement to purchase a performance bond. That's what's before you right now. All those in favor of that motion to amend the article to require the town to get a performance bond, raise your card. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, it fails. You want to recount?
I want the number of how many were unknown, so. yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, all those opposed, please raise your card again so we can count. Opposed.
If you're opposed to this, so the people
Okay.
who voted yes, now you're voting no. So the ones that voted no, were yes.
Okay, this is on the motion to amend. Wait, time, hey, what?
Repeat why they're.
Okay,
voting this.
okay. There is a motion to amend Article 50 to require the town to purchase a performance bond. The first part of this motion was, does the town vote yes, the article should be amended to include that requirement? There were 17 yay votes, 18 yay votes. And now we're counting the number of those opposed to amending the Article 50 to, that would require the town to purchase a performance bond. So all those who are opposed to purchasing a performance bond, the town purchasing a performance bond, raise your card, please.
61.
61. 18 voted in favor, 61 voted against, so the article is not amended. Now we're talking about Article 50. That's the original motion, so it's still on the floor. Nancy?
I want to call the question on that.
Okay. Thank you. Pay attention. Okay, all those in favor of calling the question? Do you need to count those, Vika?
No, I can't.
Okay. All those opposed to calling the question? No one is opposed to calling the question. Okay. All those in favor of Article 50 as written, raise your card. Opposed? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7? I got 7. Thank you. Okay, Article 51. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a franchise agreement with Axiom Technologies LLC for the purpose of maintaining and operating the fiber optic system for high-speed internet. The explanation: if Article 51 fails, this article should be postponed indefinitely. Or if Article 51 fails, this article should be postponed indefinitely, since the condition of the franchise agreement is the execution of the contract. Should that be Article 50?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me rephrase that. The explanation is if Article 50 fails, this article, Article 51, should be postponed indefinitely, since a condition of the franchise agreement is the execution of a construction agreement. A copy of the franchise agreement is available at the town office and is also available in the back of the room. Okay, Mark?
Here, I'd like to make a motion to approve Article 51 as written. Second.
Thanks for paying attention, Paul. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 2, 3, 4. I got 4. Okay, Article 52. Article to see if the town will designate 3 town-owned parcels of land at the intersection of Roy Hill Road and North Road as shown on the town assessor's map I-03-133, I-03-134, I-103-135 for future affordable housing project. Eliza? Okay. It's your time over here.
Hi, on behalf of, I'm a board member of SECA, and on behalf of SECA, I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen and our town manager for supporting our efforts for sustainable housing. At this time, I would like to propose a motion to take no further action on this parcel of property due to a change in plans. So,
okay,
what do we do?
Carly, you're going to second it? Okay.
Thank you.
So we're discussing the motion to take no further action, right? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? So.
Thank you. May I make a statement?
Sure, go ahead.
SECA and ECHO are working together to form a partnership. Everyone is looking forward to that. But I just want to say we did a survey that went out with the council newsletter, and it's been online. We really need the input from everybody, summer residents, year-round residents, everyone. So I really encourage you all to have a voice and participate in that survey. It will drive the direction of where we're going, and thank you all very much.
Article 53, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to negotiate and enter into leases for vehicles for town use and to appropriate funds for the vehicle reserve capital account to pay the annual cost of such leases. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 53 as written.
Second. Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, seeing none. Article 54. To see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for and accept funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, on behalf of the town for municipal purposes, including, when necessary, the authority to sign grant contracts, documents, and/or other paperwork, and accept the conditions that accompany grant purposes as the Board of Selectmen deem in the best interest of the town during the upcoming fiscal year. Board of Selectmen estimate the town will receive $19,000. Does that need an amount in it, the motion? It's not really approving it. Yeah, I don't think so. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 54.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Article 55. To see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit grant proposals to other governmental aid entities or private nonprofit foundations for funding of general administration or project-specific expenditures on behalf of the town for municipal purposes, including, when necessary, the authority to sign grant contracts, documents, and/or other paperwork, and accept the conditions that accompany grant funds, and to appropriate and expend grant funds for their authorized purposes as the Board of Selectmen deem in the best interest of the town during the upcoming fiscal year. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 55 as written. Second.
Discussion? All those in, oh. You identify yourself?
I will, when I get close enough.
Yes.
I'm Mike McKee, Cottage Road. So I have a question, just general discussion. When it says to accept the conditions that accompany grant funds, does that mean the Board of Selectmen look at all the fine details to see what the strings are that come with this money? And you discuss them and vote on them? Does the general population get any kind of say in that? If we show up to a Board of Selectmen meeting, is that where we do it, Donna? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is everyone here, Donna? She said she answered yes to his question. Okay. Okay, Article 55. All those in, any other discussion before we move on? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 56, to see if the town will vote to authorize the municipal officers to make final determinations regarding the closing or opening of roads to winter maintenance pursuant to Title 23, Maine Revised Statutes, Section 2953. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 56 as written. Second.
Well, thank you. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 57, to see if the town will vote to set the dates that fiscal year 2022, 2023 real estate taxes are due as September 30th, 2022 and March 31st, and to charge interest at the rate of 4% per annum for fiscal year 2022 to 2023 real estate property taxes paid after those dates. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 57 as written. Second.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 58, to see if the town will vote to set the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated and overpaid taxes pursuant to Title 36 MRS, Maine Revised Statute, Section 506-A at 1%. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 58 as written. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 59, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector or treasurer to accept prepayments of taxes not yet committed with no interest to be paid on same pursuant to Title 36, Maine Revised Statute, MRS, Section 506. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 59 as written. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 60, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of town-owned assets, excluding land, with a value of $10,000 or less under such terms and conditions as they deem advisable. The explanation, this article avoids the necessity of calling a special town meeting every time the town has personal property of little value that the Board of Selectmen wish to sell or otherwise dispose of. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 60 as written. Second.
Thank you, Bob. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Article 61, to see if the candidates will conduct a candidates forum here and now to allow the voters to hear statements from candidates if they wish to make a statement for the office of Selectman and School Committee, candidates whose names appear on the ballot, as well as those interested in being write-in candidates. Each statement is limited to 3 minutes. The explanation, the town adopted the secret ballot election and voting method on November 19th, 2011. This means that the election of both selectmen and school committee members shall be conducted by secret ballot at the voting polls on June 14, 2022, next Tuesday, rather than during the open town meeting. Although any party interested in being elected may speak, no nominations are accepted as part of this forum. In order for a candidate named to appear on the ballot, he or she must have filed nomination papers in accordance with Title 30A MRS, Maine Revised Statute, Section 2528. Mark?
Motion to approve Article 61 as written. Second.
Thank you both. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. Candidates? Anybody who's a candidate want to make a statement? David?
Before I start my 2-minute statement, I would like to express my gratitude to Bill Danielson for lending me this cane, which I need, having managed to catch my leg between the door and my car outside. And it's doing fine. And I just also want to thank everybody else who rushed over to assist. And I'll try not to, I cannot name everybody who did. So I'll just thank you all in total. And it's just the kind of community we live in. I tell you, I was amazed by the number of people who rushed over to render assistance, and I do appreciate it. So for my statement, along with my opponents, I have been involved with the formation and governance of the town of Big Island from the beginning. Since then, I have served the town with 15 years on the Board of Selectmen. This experience provides me with the institutional knowledge that is needed on the Board of Selectmen to continue to serve the community with knowledge of what has gone before. But as the saying goes, what have you done lately? When the pandemic hit, I established the town Zoom account
to enable off-site Board of Selectmen meetings, allowing public participation, which we're currently using now to the benefit of the community, I believe. Donna and I created the CART Committee, Community Advisory Response Team, which brought in $65,000 of state funding for masks and public education, which helped to keep the island safe right up until the last, well, once we got the vaccinations done, that really helped to protect us when the Omicron variants came in. A group of us created the CART Committee, CCRT, COVID Community Response Team, which managed to bring vaccinations to the island when others said they couldn't be done. Jenny Hackle and I created the sign-up databases to schedule vaccinations for over 90% of our residents. And I'm glad to see masks are still in use and we've kept ourselves safe. I hope the pandemic is behind us, but I fear it may not be. And I will continue to work to protect our island and residents. But there's so much more work to be done. We have to be willing to make hard decisions to preserve marine facilities. We have to provide adequate facilities for our town office. We have to keep our roads up to par. We had a lot of discussion about that tonight, this afternoon. We have to enable fast internet service to everyone on the island. We have to do all these things and more while keeping taxes in check and keeping Shebig an affordable place to live for everyone. So I ask for your support to allow me to continue to serve the island we all love. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bob Ernest. I live on Rose Point Road. I would like to help the select board grow as a team so that we're better able to tackle the challenges and questions that lay in front of us. Questions like how can we grow and maintain a diverse community, age-wise, socioeconomically? How do we help young people and families find a place here? It's becoming increasingly challenging, and if we don't do something, we're all going to look like most of us. How do we protect the open space on Shebig that is so important to us all? It's a limited place, it's a very special place, and it's going to get tougher with some of the things that are happening that we have no control over as a town, and we're having a hard time controlling as a society, like climate change. And what steps can we take to adapt to rising sea levels? There's going to be many potential roads that we can follow as we face these challenges. I think how the select board works as a team to evaluate the challenges and to look at multiple solutions and evaluate them in a logical and process-oriented fashion has everything to do with how we protect this place that we all love so much moving forward. That's why I'm running for select board. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Carol White, 250 North Road, and I'm running for selectman, select board. And I've served on the school committee and the planning board and with many of the people in the room. And I guess what I feel I must say, I agree. I'm very committed to working on the select board as a team member and honoring decisions that are made, even if I don't agree with them. I think that's important so that, you know, we can move forward as a community. And I think we do have some really significant challenges facing us. One of the ones that I'm particularly committed to is dealing with climate change and what that means for our community from an economic, social, cultural standpoint. And as a select board member, I would encourage the community to participate in the climate resiliency partnerships that the state is, championing, and there's a lot of opportunities for us to get some guidance and some help in terms of dealing with climate-related challenges and also funding. So that would be one of my initiatives if I was elected. And another area of significant concern for me, and I don't think I have to explain it to people in the room, but is the status of, for lack of a better word, sort of our workforce families here on the island, our year-round community that are working as opposed to retired. As someone who may be soon stepping into the retired phase, I recognize the challenges that are faced by particularly parents of school-age children here on the island. I don't think it's any secret the enrollment at the school has dropped to about 10. And I am concerned about the future of particularly having a community where we have families and children as part of that community. I think there'll always be a year-round community here on Shabik. It's a question of whether or not it will be a community that includes families and children. And I think we're at a very critical moment in our future as a community as it relates to that issue in particular. And I think it's going to take a concerted effort by the community. If we let things go their natural course, I don't think we'll have a school in a decade. So that is one thing that I'm particularly committed to. I think there are some unique challenges that those particular families have in terms of affordability of housing, in terms of childcare, and I think we need to decide as a community how we're going to support them. And I personally would like to support that element, that demographic of our community, because they bring so much in terms of vibrancy, but also, we rely on them. When our furnace went out at 11 o'clock at night, John Rich was there. And, think of a future when John isn't here on the island to fix your problems. So those are the two issues that I'm particularly committed to, but I'm also committed to working as a team with the select board if elected.
And any other candidates wish to speak? Okay, let's talk about Article 3. Let me relate my conversation that I had with a lawyer at Maine Municipal Association and what I propose to do. Okay, when I talked to the lawyer, I said, first of all, that because it's a referendum question, it's really not appropriate to be voted on in this town meeting because it's not a warrant article per se. It's for, the vote is going to be June 14th, election day. However, I do know that people want to discuss this. So what I talked to the MMA lawyer about was putting this at the end of the meeting. And there's two ways to do this. One is to vote on Article 62 and adjourn the meeting and have the discussion about essentially Article 3 after that, which I'm perfectly willing to stay for. Or we could talk about it before before voting on Article 662, which would adjourn the meeting until June 4th. I would propose that we do Article 62 and then the discussion of Article 3. But I want to make sure that people are okay with that. Does anybody object to that? Have any feelings about that, Donna?
I don't object to it, but we were told that no discussion would be made, so people may not be here today or may not be prepared to speak because they were told specifically that there could be no discussion here today. That's my concern, because if that had not been a public, it was mentioned on numerous occasions that was the case. So that's my only concern about this, is that there may be some people who are not here because they didn't know, because they were told in public at a select meeting that they were not going to be allowed to speak.
Which is why the MMA attorney suggested doing Article 62 and then have the meeting afterwards, so it's not part of this annual town meeting.
But it's still the same, it's still putting people together when they were told that it wouldn't happen. That's
Yes, I know, but people voted to discuss it, so.
I'm just.
I feel duty bound to honor that.
Yeah, no, all I'm saying is that you said this, anybody have any questions, so comments.
Mark?
Permission to ask you a question, sir.
You may.
Did you consider a reasonable time limit on this discussion where it's been vetted very well in public for this?
Are you talking about a total time limit on the discussion or a time limit for each person, for each speaker? Okay. Well, Bob?
I make a motion that we have this discussion before we adjourn the town minute, meeting, and that we limit each person's comments to no more than 3 minutes.
Okay, there's a motion. Who seconded it? Okay. All right, discussion about the motion.
Who seconded that?
Mr. Wilson. The question is that we discuss it before we adjourn the meeting, so we would discuss it now. And there'd be a limit of 3 minutes per speaker, but he did not suggest a total, a limit on the amount of time spent discussing it. But just that each person would speak no more than 3 minutes, and Vika would keep track of the time.
I won't be afraid to say stop.
Okay, any discussion about that? Okay, all those in favor of doing that? Got it. All those opposed? 4. Oh, 6. Okay, all right, we're gonna do that then. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes, and Vika is vicious about time. Who wants to start? Michael, why don't you come up here?
Okay, I'm Michael Porter, still. And frankly, I have to say, I don't see the purpose for this. We've heard all the arguments before, repeatedly, last year at about this time, and the public hearing earlier. But I'm going to say one thing only. At the town meeting last year, there was a vote to the taxpayers, who people are now concerned that this is a bad use of taxpayer money. The taxpayers, whose money it is, voted to spend it, $60,000, on that road improvement, on the plan that was offered. So I guess I don't really know why we're here again, talking about the same thing. I think the Board of Selectmen was remiss in not carrying out the will of the voters, my opinion. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Donna? Donna, then Herb.
So I'm going to try to do this in 3 minutes. I wasn't prepared, so
You better,
I'm doing the best I
answer to
can.
her.
I haven't started yet, okay? Okay, so just to let people know that the opportunity for public access down at the Hook took nearly 15 years to secure, and both with the town aspect of it and the conservation easement. There were a lot of moving parts, and a lot of people put a lot of work into this. It was worth it because it was a treasure, and vehicular access was at the key of all of the negotiations. Because we were concerned about the elderly, people who were physically challenged, as well as clam diggers having to carry their clams up that road. And in the initial agreement, there was references to the road and erosion control. In 2007, the Patriots Day storm washed out the road and breached the century-old seawall, and that project was paid for by FEMA. There were a lot of FEMA projects on the island that year. In 2018, Indian Island Corporation put the town on notice that about the condition of the road, and nothing happened. The Board of Selectmen did not take action, and it just got worse. In May of 2021, several of us met with the DEP regarding the emergency repair. The person from DEP said that that it would qualify for permit by rule to be able to be an emergency repair while a longer term plan was developed. At town meeting the next month, 42-12, the town voted to allocate the money. Of those 12, many of those people signed that letter and have been to every single meeting that we've had about this, opposed to this project. They signed the letter that they sent to you. They did not take the view of the public, of the voters into consideration. So $65,000 was already allocated. You paid for it in your taxes last year. That money's in a pot waiting to be spent. The Raymond Family Foundation has pledged if we don't do something right away, as soon as we can, the road is going to continue to deteriorate to the point where the rescue won't be able to get down there, and we will, and right now it's closed to the public, so it is off limits for the people who are elderly, who are physically challenged, and unless you're really able to carry a clam pod all the way up the hill, to them as well. So I urge you to vote for, yes, to do the emergency repair on Tuesday.
Herb?
There is an important procedural distinction to keep in mind here. The vote at the town meeting last year was to appropriate funds, which we did, and store them. It was not in support of a specific plan. The plan was presented on April 6th. The Board of Selectmen was at that meeting, and I participated by Zoom. The Board of Selectmen was unconvinced that the plan as presented on April 6th was the right plan for right now. No one on the board, I heard no one on the board say we should not spend a penny down there, or we should give up access, or we should let it wash out. But they had very strong concerns, strong enough that they did not move it to town meeting. So a public petition was passed around and given to the selectmen to put this on the agenda. So when I vote no on Tuesday, I will be voting in what I believe is the support of our selectmen who we elected to look at the details of these things. And that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
I'm not privy to the details of the plan, but what I'd like to suggest to the people involved is that there be a parking place up a little bit from the water level, so to speak, so that people can park up there and the cars aren't going down and destroying the sand down at the bottom.
Thank you. Anybody else? Esther?
And Esther Danielson, North Road.
Here's the three numbers. By 2050, the average rise. There's a place to turn it on. Like I think you turn yourself off.
This way, how about that? Okay. By 2050, the average rise around in our area will be 4 to 8 feet, 4 to 8 inches along the Pacific coast, 10 to 14 inches along the Atlantic coast, and 14 to 18 inches along the Gulf coast. And that's just a few years. If you go another 50 years or 100 years out, it's going to rise faster and faster the longer we wait. So my suggestion is, there's nothing you can do that's going to make a permanent solution here.
Beverly?
Well, I'm the one that opened up this big can of worms. Sorry. I was at the meeting last year, felt very, I felt that fixing the retaining wall, which was part of the motion, have the money in for fixing the retaining wall was utmost importance right at this time, while we work on trying to do something that would be more permanent. I know that the retaining wall is going to be storms. It could be storms next year. It could be storms in 5 years. It's not going to last forever, but I wanted to get something in there so to prepare it for when we plan and work on ways to maintain that road forever. I had a hip replacement 10 years ago, and I could not get down there by walking. I had to be driven down there. And as you all know, I'm a birder. I'm out there. I used to be out there all the time, taking pictures of the birds and looking at the birds and stuff like that. And for me, access for anybody is very, very important down there. The road has been, we have an agreement with the Indian Island to let us use this property. It's part of the land trust. And right now, if we don't fix that retaining wall right now, and I imagine that probably all the 120,000 will go right to that retaining wall aspect of it, we're not going to have any kind of a road to go down there, and the water will be going over, and we have other types of bird habitat on the other side of the road, which will be lost as well. So while we got the plans for a long range, hopefully long range, permanent way to get down there, right now we need to do something as a stopgap. And that was the reason I felt that we needed to have a actual vote for all the people that couldn't be here to town meeting, as I know a lot of people who aren't here today. Thank you.
Here's the question.
Are you calling the question?
No question.
Yeah, there's no question, really. Yeah, good point. Go ahead.
So how do we go home?
People have what they, to say.
Okay.
And they.
Hi, I'm Adrian Cerezo. I live on South Road. I've been a resident here for 3 years. Turns out I'm also a climate scientist, and I work in adaptation and resilience plans for other islands in the Pacific, the ones that are urgently trying to figure this out. And I would suggest that there is a middle road here, because in fact, the rising oceans is going to be dramatic and it's inevitable. We cannot fix that. But many other islands are putting together adaptation and resilience plans. And I think we should do some kind of amendment, and I have to defer to your procedure, so that whatever this is connected to a comprehensive resilience and adaptation plan for Chebig that we discuss as that, because it's not just going to be that road, it's going to be all of the docks, all of the beaches, all of the areas that are connected, plus the change in weather. So that might be the beginning of a really important conversation for the island. I'll be more than happy to participate in that.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I think to follow up with that, that's all I personally was asking, is that there be an opportunity to talk about adaptation plans. Not to say that you couldn't do a short-term repair, but it wasn't even allowed, even though it was recommended by state agencies and federal agencies that we look at an adaptation plan for that system, the coastal barrier resource system that we're designated. It was not done. And I started talking to the selectmen in 2020, and it's 2022. And after the meeting on April 6th, I really think there should have been a meeting of all the stakeholders to discuss the options. I think we could come to an agreement that makes more sense on both the short term and the long term. I don't know how much appetite the community will have to implement a $60,000 repair and then turn around and do it again. And so that is why I suggested, starting over 2 years ago, that we look at that. I don't know exactly why the selectmen didn't support that. I can't speak for them, but I do think that's part of it is, you know, let's spend our money in the most useful and effective way. And I think looking at an adaptation strategy that could have a short-term and long-term component is the best way. And so do the state and federal agencies that work in these sectors. And they said to me just last week, it would be really great if Shabig was forward-thinking and looked at some options beyond the traditional engineering approaches. So I just feel like I have to say that to follow up on what Adrian had to say. I'll start by saying that I do support
Jackie, closer.
I do support Article 3. But I have a question. I support it for the reasons that have been stated. On page 11, under the capital account, at the bottom, 9195, there is a current balance of approximately $70,000 in the Indian Point retaining wall account. And I'm interested to hear, you know, where that fits in. That's 70,000, whatever it is the 65 that was last year allocated to it is in that. We talk about 60 because we owe the engineer half of his fee, which Indian Island's paying half and we're paying half. So 10,000 of that is allocated to that. And in response to Carol, while I'm up here, basically that's kind of what she was suggesting could have happened with the board table, didn't table, but they said they were going to come back with a workshop and we just never did. But if you vote for this and do the short-term fix, it gives you time to develop a better project. And I agree with Carol, we need to come up with something that is better. But the question is, do we want to jeopardize everything we have right now? Thank you.
It seems to me that there are two problems. There's the ocean erosion that we're trying to prevent, in which this plan seems to be somewhat addressing. The other problem is that there is road erosion from the water coming up at the top of the hill. And the maintenance of the two hills and the work that was done when FEMA FEMA raised the road with about 8 inches of big rocks, and then topped it with 2 inches or 4 inches of road soil that has, on the top road, has all washed into the gully on the side. So anyone who's gone down and sees the road ruts from the water that has damaged that is just poor maintenance on the town's part, that we have not been able to direct the water into the gullies that were put in by FEMA. And the water is just running down the road instead of being diverted into the gullies. And that's why the road has washed out as bad as it is, to the point where, as a fireman driving a vehicle, I feel like I could navigate that down there, but the average person could not. And the rescue vehicles that need to get down there, you know, we have saved quite a few lives by having access to that. And it's just, at this point, I think the town needs to just, you know, get Chuck working on this so that the water is diverted from the road into the gullies.
Thanks, Jim. Beth?
Either that or I need
David's who borrowed the other came from the other person. So Beth Wiles, I live on, can you hear me? Okay. I'm Beth Wiles, I live on South Road. And Jerry, I'm not really sure what I'm going to say, but here goes. I signed this letter that went out, and I believe in it because I feel as though we should give it more time in preparing this. And I also feel at this time that this 60,000 and the monies that have been given is not going to cover this now. And this is what I'm seeing from my own personal experience in building, what the cost is to bring in different materials. So I would ask you to do something similar. And Donna, I respect what we did with the Stone Pier, and we had those meetings. I was one of those that said, oh my God, another meeting. But I feel as though we need to spend time together, time with Indian Island. They have met and they have their own ideas, which we, as far as I know, are not privy to. And I think that we need to sit back and have the time spent on a plan as a team. And I do appreciate what the candidates are saying about working as a team. And I found those meetings very important to me, and I learned so much, and we all work together. Some of the people that have written or had their views didn't attend those, so they haven't been given the chance to see. But I hope you will vote no, and let's go back and work at this a bit. We have the 65 in our capital improvement. That doesn't mean that we have to take that 65 now. And that's simple, and I thank you.
Again, I spend a lot of time at the Hook for work, for exercise, walking my dog, nature. A few years ago, I began to notice rapid erosion at the Hook, and we've all seen it, but the more frequently you go down there, the more it really hits you. I began going down during big storm events that coincided with higher tides than normal, and I was shocked at what I was seeing. And I started taking pictures of it at every storm that coincided with a high tide, and taking videos. And I did that for 2 winters, summer too, but most of the damage occurs in the winter. And I'm happy to share those if anybody wants them. I shared them with the Land Trust, Indian Island, and the town as I was doing it. I am not opposed to spending money to preserve access or to also preserve that natural space that is so special to all of us. I think we have to spend money to do both of those things. The problem I have with the current plan is it was just so obviously inadequate when it was presented at the April 6th meeting. When the engineer was asked, if storms like last winter continue, how long will the solution last? His answer was maybe 1 or 2 years. When the engineer was asked, how long, or what's the long-term plan? His answer was, we haven't looked at it yet. We think there would be challenging problems with getting it permitted, and we estimate it would cost at least $1 million. I think we're chasing the wrong kind of solutions. And I think what several have spoken to in terms of adaptation is the right way to go, but we haven't looked at those solutions. We haven't, as far as I know, sat down with all 3 parties, the Land Trust, Indian Island, and the town. And I think we should do that quickly and spend that money that's been allocated, and hopefully get the Raymond Foundation to agree that it would be spent in a different way if we find a better solution. I'm absolutely convinced there are better solutions that would allow vehicular access, that would allow access to the bar, walking over solid surfaces instead of walking over a fragile sand dune, and ways to preserve that land down there. I would just ask that we vote no on Tuesday and quickly step back and take a more collaborative approach to problem solving. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak? Are we done? Okay. Let's deal with Article 62. To adjourn the annual town meeting until June 4th, 2022 at 8 a.m. So the secret ballot for vote of local elections, Articles 2 and 3, may be held at the Shebig Island Hall Community Center, 247 South Road, and then after the closing of the poll at 8 p.m. and the announcement of the results by the moderator, or excuse me, deputy moderator, to adjourn the town meeting. Mark?
Peter, I'd like to make a motion to approve Article 62 as written. Second.
Okay, discussion. Of course, right? No one wants to adjourn. All those in favor? All right, we're out of here. Thank you all.
For those that are able, can you grab a chair or two and stack them? Because Chris and I have to lug all these chairs back to the hall.
Hold it up. Hey. I forgot. Mr. Moriarty, still there. There. Set. Everyone's set. Sorry, Steve. Please set. Can we just sit for a minute, please? Just time. I forgot. Steve Moriarty is here. I promised him that he could speak.
Morning, folks. Thanks so much. This is my first time at your town meeting since 2014, and it's good to be back, and congratulations on a successful meeting this morning. I'm Steve Moriarty. I live in Cumberland Center, lived there for almost 39 years. That'll be next month. And I've had a long-term association with Shebig. The first town council chair that I ever saw in action was Beverly. We never served together though, Bev, but I did serve for many years with Donna and enjoyed that experience enormously, learned a great deal from her, and those were good, productive years, Donna. And thank you for mentioning that as well. I want you to know that for a combined total of about 16 years before independence, I served as an at-large town councilor in Cumberland, which meant that I didn't just represent a certain district in town, but rather the entire town. And that, of course, included Shebig. And so for all of those 16 years, my duty was to Shebig just as it was to every other part of the town. And as some of you will recall, I spent quite a bit of time out here on a whole variety of issues, starting back with that first transportation agreement back in 88, 89, and moving on from there. All very, very rewarding and fulfilling for me. And then came independence, and we've remained good friends ever since. I did serve one term in the legislature. I'm sorry, I haven't told you what I'm doing. I'm in the legislature right now. The district includes Cumberland and the southern part of Gray. Now, the district has been redrawn so that on election day this year, you'll be voting for another representative to the House, but the district is different. It includes all of Cumberland and Shebig Island and Long Island. So currently you're joined with Yarmouth. As of November, you'll be officially joined with Cumberland. And the reason why I point that out is that I did serve one term in the legislature from 2012 to 2014. And at that time, the district did include Cumberland, Shebig, and Long, so that I have been your representative in the legislature in the past. At the end of my term in 2014, I decided not to run for re-election. I was still working full-time and Balancing both when the legislature was in session was just too difficult. I was too young to retire and decided I would stick with my plan to finish my career on schedule, which happened at the end of 2018. Also, I worked with Kendra McKinnon, who would not allow me to retire at that age, and so I had no choice but to stay on at the firm and give up the legislature. 3 years ago, I was re-elected to the legislature in a special election this month, 3 years ago, when my predecessor became terminally ill and had to resign and ultimately passed away. I was re-elected in 2020, and I'm seeking another term in the House this November. Very, very briefly, my key issues are full economic recovery, more progress toward that. We're doing pretty well with a very low unemployment rate, and employers who are just dying to hire people, but there are some folks that haven't quite found a way to get back into the economy, and that's an issue. Global warming is a big issue. You just spent several moments talking about what was in effect a very distinct global warming related issue. And so that's a key priority for me. I want to see continued progress to becoming carbon neutral by 2024, 2045, 2050, which is the governor's goal. I am very strong in terms of protecting natural resources. I was a founding member of what is now the Chebec Cumberland Land Trust, and I'm still an active member. I very strongly support land acquisition. I know that you dealt with that in Article 45 and have put that off a resolution to a later date, but the trust is doing an awesome job both here on the island and on the mainland. I support equity for all. We have a problem with one big issue right now, providing legal services for the indigent. That's expensive. That's going to require a lot of work. And the state's being sued because it's not doing its proper job. There's a problem with court congestion and backlog, which is COVID related, and it impacts everybody that has anything going on with court. Family matters, business matters, property disputes, you name it. We're all suffering because we can't get our cases heard on time, and that's going to take a lot more attention. As a final thing, I just want to mention quickly, I strongly support the continuation of municipal revenue sharing. We finally reached the 5.5% level in the past 2 years, and also reached the full 55% level for school funding. It's vital that we not backslide on either of those issues. They mean too much in terms of local property tax control and fairness. So in closing, I'll just get a little bit mercenary here. As you leave the room, I have some flyers at the back on a countertop. You're welcome to take one and contact me at any time. My number and email are on the flyers as well. Also, I'm running as a clean elections candidate this time. In fact, I have every time, no different this year, which means that my campaign is publicly funded. But to qualify for public funding, I need to collect a certain number of individual $5 donations. Many of you have given already, and that's all you can give. I'm not asking for a second bite at the apple here. But if there are those here who are interested in giving, I'd be happy to meet with you up in the back of the room and just show you how simple it is. It's a one-time $5 thing, and I can never bother you again, at least this year. So, thanks very much for inviting me to speak. At the end of it was a very long town meeting. Thanks very much.